seventh house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Then peace will guide the planets,
And love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. 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 Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions,
mystic crystal revelation,
and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius, Aquarius.
when the moon is in the seventh house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Then peace will guide the planets, and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. 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 Hey there, people all around the world, men and women, boys and girls. The time has come to occupy. It's much too late to judge and cry. Think about a love revolution, and it's here again. And it's time to let the sun shine in. Come together and sing out strong. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. All around the world. Let the sun shine. Come together. Let the sun shine. Sunshine. The sun shine in. Everybody sing. Let the sun shine. Open up your hearts. Let the sun shine. Sunshine. The sun shine. Come together and sing out strong for a peaceful planet where we all belong. Replace all fears with love and grace. We are different shades of one human race. It's the place to chase. The revolution is here again. It's near again. The resolution will now begin for all to let the sunshine in.
In my eyes, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, in my life, I have been searching for something but you were my dream. You're perfect, you're golden, golden. You're the light, your love. You're perfect, you're golden. You're the light, my love. When I breathe, when I swallow, caress I feel. When I listen, I hear the most beautiful music out of nowhere. You're perfect, you're golden, you're my light, my love. You're perfect, you're golden. You're my light, my love, my love. When I'm sad and dark, shallow and in doubt. When I'm trying my best to put one foot in front of the other. You're perfect, you're golden. You're the light of my life, you're the love from forever. In your reflection, I'm perfect. So I keep looking at you to keep witnessing my perfection. In you as me, light it, light it, light it, light it. Light it, light it, light it, light it. Light it, light it, light it, light it, light it. Always there, never leave, holding me, set me free, guiding light, your empathy, confidence to express it as me. You're perfect, you're golden. You're the light of my life, you're my love from forever. Your reflection, I'm perfect. So I keep looking at you to keep witnessing my perfection. In you as me. Light it, light it, light it, light it. 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 Light it, light it, You're perfect, you're golden. the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. For the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. Greater good of all, greater good of all.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the People of Diversity Sunday service. We are a multi-faith community, and we believe that there are many paths to one divinity. We have 10 different faith speakers, 10 different faith perspectives, a wide variety, to say the least. And we have 10 different musical artists. At the beginning of a 10-week series, we give them a topic. One, sometimes 2 words, but usually 1 word topic, and ask them to create a message, and for the musicians to send in a couple of videos that reflect their feelings and faith perspectives on that topic. We send it, Scott and I do the hey and goodbye, and everybody sends their respective pieces and parts to the ingenious, amazing Philip Lupo and his team.
To the wizard indeed, right?
Yeah, really. And he puts it all together and creates what you're watching now. So if you would like to become part of this endeavor, you may go to www.peopleofdiversity.org, O-R-G, and push that donate button. We pay our speakers, we pay our musicians, we pay our tech team, and every bit helps keep this ball rolling.
So last week we ended our series on charity with Sensei Dave Vidito and Donna Frost. It was an amazing talk. And Dave's just cool. I like him. He's a neat guy. And today we'll start our series on responsibility. And that will begin with Naran Sykes and with Bob Sima and Shannon Plummer giving us a couple of videos. Next week, we have our Baha'i representative, Dean Martineau, and his musical accompaniment will drop down from the Great White North in Canada, and Andrew Bentham Riley will be sending us a couple of videos for that one. So, past services and Sunday morning notifications and reminders of all kinds can be found at both the People of Diversity page and group. And that's the differentiation. There's a page and there's a group. So when you're on there and you're looking for the other one, the one you haven't connected to yet, figure out if you are on a page or on a group, and then look for the other one. And then you'll get notifications from both pages and you'll always know what's going on. Directly following the morning service from 11:45 to 12:15, we do a deep dive. And this week, we're not going to. But normally we do.
Right.
And that's a time when we can hang out, visit. We don't want to bump over it, even though we're not doing it this week. We want to remind everybody that it's there, it's available, it's always available. Except for workshop weekends, and next weekend is a workshop weekend, and so we will be there. At any rate, there's also an evening service at 5:45. We rebroadcast the morning service, and the magic that was happened in the morning can rehappen in the afternoon. We pin that to the top of the page. That's where you can go back or send a friend back to check it out. And I think this is the moment we should remind everyone we're also live on YouTube on Sunday morning, just the one service, and ongoing. The library on YouTube is finished, and it's searchable by faith or by speaker.
Faith or topic.
Faith or topic, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, faith or topic. And that can be a resource or just a tool for you to use to explore your own personal spirituality. So that's available as well.
What's the name of the YouTube channel?
People of Diversity.
People of Diversity.
And
Okay,
it's the hand one.
the logo, right?
The logo is the hands, yeah. Okay. That's all I know.
Okay. Each week we bless a country. So if you know something about the country that we are blessing next week, I'll be surprised. But maybe. Who knows? But if you do, send anything that you know, pictures you have, stories, whatever, about the country we're blessing next week to the email address below. And the country we're blessing next week is Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I
I have Russian in there somewhere.
I practiced so many times and I still mess with that. Kazakhstan. There we go. This week we are blessing Jordan. And I might have to add Jordan to my bucket list, which surprised me because I never really thought that. But it's quite an amazing place. Jordan is an Arab nation located in the Middle East. It is slightly smaller than Indiana. and has 11.3 million people, which is almost double the population of Indiana. It's 97% Sunni Muslim, 2% Christian, so that's about it.
That's it. That's all.
97% Sunni Muslim and 2% Christian. There are more than 100,000 archaeological sites in Jordan, including 2 of the oldest cities in the world. Petra, of which only about 15% of Petra has even been explored. That's amazing. It's leaving a whole lot out there to do. And Amman, which was first settled by humans around 3200 to 2000 BC and has been continuously inhabited. Wow. Yeah. The lowest point on Earth, the Dead Sea, is in Jordan. It's 1,370 feet below sea level and is 10 times saltier than the ocean. So when you go there, you can float on top.
Ooh.
One of the world's best and most famous hiking trails. Now, this is why I want to go to Jordan, I think. One of the world's best and most famous hiking trails is the Jordan Trail, which traverses the 402 miles across the country and takes an average of 45 days to hike. It passes through many of the wonders of Jordan, including the city of Petra. Mount Nebo in Jordan is considered to be part of the Holy Land. It's 800 feet high and overlooks the Jordan Valley, the Dead Sea, Bethlehem, and Jerusalem. It has become a very popular pilgrimage destination. It is believed that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist in Jordan. And here's our last fact. I thought this was a modern thing and very interesting. In 1972, Jordan became the first Arab country to allow women to train and serve as police officers. And the number of female police is still rising. And they do all kinds of things, everything from traffic duty to belonging to the anti-terrorism brigades and things like that. So I just thought that was really interesting. So let's hold the people of Jordan in our hearts, knowing they want the same things in their lives that we want in ours. That's a very a lot of upheaval in that area of the world, and so we bless them with peace and abundance and serenity and the ability to enjoy the beauty and history that surrounds them. So let's hold them in our hearts and say these words together.
May peace prevail in Jordan. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in me.
Thank you.
Responsibility. This is going to be a very, very interesting
I think so too. Topic.
Series and
yeah,
topic,
uh-huh.
and so we're really, really looking forward to it. So we'll hear from Bob and Shannon. We'll hear from Bob and Shannon first, and then from Naran Sykes. And without further ado, let's just dive right in.
I don't wanna talk about it, I don't wanna cry about it, I don't wanna worry anymore. I don't wanna look down from a higher place, I don't need to feel the night, I just wanna be right here face to face. I don't wanna plead no more, get you to believe no more, convince you and put my hands in my pocket. 'Cause this beautiful world I'm waiting to see, I think I'm done trying to change you. I don't wanna fight about it, I don't wanna ponder anymore. I don't wanna read about it, I don't wanna meet about it, I don't wanna ask someone else what they think. 'Cause silence is a dangerous thing, and this bird is telling me it's time to sing. I wanna walk like it, I wanna live like it, I wanna feel it in my bones, I wanna breathe it in my sufferance, and maybe just one soul will see that this beautiful world we're trying to find, we're only gonna get there when we change on the inside, 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 on the inside, 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 inside. 'Cause if you wanna see the light, you gotta be the light, shining on your darkest day. If you wanna see the change, you gotta be the change. Just takes one to show us the way. 'Cause there are hands to be held, and stories to tell, and hearts that ache to be free. Love to share from within, peace to begin. If not you and me, then who will? When on the inside, 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 on the inside, 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 inside. 'Cause if you wanna see the light, you gotta be the light, shining on your darkest day. If you wanna see the change, you gotta be the change. Just takes one to show us the way. On the inside, 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 inside. On the inside, 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 inside. chains. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love, 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 love. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. Hurt people, help people, help people. Help people, heal people, heal people, heal people. Hurt people, bless people, bless people. Bless people, heal people, heal people, heal people. Hurt people, love people, love people. Love people, heal people, heal people, heal people. I can see it in the old man's eyes. I can see it in the young girl's smile. I can see it coming through the pain, coming right at us like a hurricane. Yeah. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love, 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 love. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. 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 How many generations past this on? How long have we felt this pain? How many more hearts gotta break before we decide to break this chain? Yeah. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love. Come on, get ready for love, 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 love.
Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all. First and foremost, our responsibilities in Islam are to perform the 5 pillars. It is the Shahada, or the testimony of faith, praying, fasting, giving charity, and then going to Hajj. So this is how we are going to be, this is what we're going to be asked about on the day of judgment. And the praying is actually our first responsibility, because this is to God. The month of Rajab, which is actually God's month, came in this evening at, I believe, like 3 minutes or 2 minutes to 6, which was at sunset. So I do have to mention that because this is a very important month to us. Our responsibilities are that our good deeds are exponentially rewarded, and our bad deeds are more grave during the month of Rajab, which is actually the month of God. So I'm going to be jumping around a lot tonight. Responsibility of Muslims comes in many forms, and there are a sort of plethora of topics that I can cover. However, I'm going to cover a few of them, and they are going to be responsibility socially, responsibilities of husbands and wives. And I think maybe that's all the time I'm going to have to cover tonight. So being socially responsible means that people must behave ethically towards their environment, finance, surroundings, and society. Social responsibility includes the connection of the people towards the community in which they dwell. It can also be called as the interest toward the affairs of the society and the active participation and interest to solve the social problems. In our personal life, we might feel the greatest sense of social responsibility to our family and close friends. But it may count, we are responsible. However, our attitudes also have to be good. We don't want to carry out these responsibilities as a burden. Social responsibility in Islam expands to all humanity. Society is the one who teaches us and applies the belief system, value system, as well as methodology, laws of Islam, and also behavior, which I talked about, behavior, attitude, whatever we want to call it. These are taught to us by the Quran and explained to us by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And also his companions. We were taught how to interact and with the community through the companions as well. Social responsibility is held with everyone, and there are different stages. So firstly, to oneself and to his family, to the society where he lives, and finally to the other societies on the earth or at large. We are responsible for what we do in our lives, how we conduct ourselves in public and in our homes, and we can't blame others for our behavior. We strive for purity regardless what we are faced with, of what we are faced with. Therefore, we surround ourselves with people that will not pull us off center. Islam divides responsibilities, and this is a big one. I talked about, I mentioned one of the topics I was going to cover is responsibilities of husbands and wives. So according to their nature that God has made each of them naturally disposed to carry out, spouses share responsibilities, including education, cultural development in the family, and protect each other from harm, and most importantly, a cultivation of love in their marital life. Now, I've got to expound on that because in the Quran, it actually says a husband and wife are a garment for each other. So as a garment, our garments cover our body, our flaws in our body. And this is the metaphor used. So if there's something that I don't want people to know, that I might have some bad habits, my husband should not be disclosing that. That's between I, and God, and vice versa. If there's anything that my husband does or says, unless I'm seeking counsel, if I'm going to speak to somebody about this issue, it's our responsibility to seek help, but to cover each other's flaws. And I love that analogy of being a garment to each other. because we know that at 62, I would not want to be going out there without garments, because I'd probably scare everybody. So the clothes that I wear, the garments that I wear, actually protect me. And they also protect you from the elements, from the sun or from the cold. If it's cold, you want to wear a coat, and if it's hot, you want to wear something flimsy and cotton. But as you know, as Muslims, we've got to be covered, our heads and to our ankles. The other thing that I also want to mention about covering the floors is such an important responsibility of both parties in the marriage, because also a garment, say my husband is kind of cold to me, I would want to go and warm him up. If I'm hot, which means like I'm hot-tempered, he would want to approach me in a cooling manner. And this is the responsibility of a husband to a wife. So Islam, I said this, divides responsibilities between husband and wife according to their nature that God has made each of them naturally disposed to carry out. We share responsibilities, and we also share in the responsibility of raising our children. That's a very, very important, and to protect each other from harm, and most importantly, a cultivation of love. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, even if one finds the other negligent in their duties, he or she must bring this to the other's attention and guide the other to what is righteous. What I really, really love about Islam is that husbands and wives, it's our responsibility to pray with each other and pray for each other. I thought that was so, so beautiful. Now I'm also going to talk about something that is very important as Muslims. It is incumbent on every Muslim to share the message of Islam. And I do want to preface this with saying, when we share the message of God, it's so that people will be aware of God, not so that they will, we're not trying to coerce them into embracing our religion. The message of God is for everybody. Okay, it is called dawah, or invitation. So the root word is da, and which means to draw someone's attention to something. And in this instance, it is calling people's attention toward God. As far as the Islamic terminology is concerned, dawah, this message, is calling people toward God. And this is why the Prophet is called in the Quran, he's called Da'i il-Allah, which means he called people to God. Yes, one of the responsibilities of the Prophet Muhammad was to convey and deliver the message of God to all people. And therefore, because we follow the teachings of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, it is our responsibility to do the same. Now, all the prophets were called to do the same. All the prophets were called to direct people toward God, to convey the message of God. And so we understand the task of dawah is the message of one of us, all of us has to endure. The central theme of this message that the life or death, not the end, is not the end. So when people are standing before God on the day of judgment, if they say that they met, just say they met me, and I did not share the message of God, as my responsibility inculcates in me, it is a grave sin in Islam. And this is one of the reasons why I love doing these talks, is because I really do not love public speaking, but because I know that as a Muslim, I am supposed to do this. I carry out this task with responsibility, and I sure hope that the message comes across lovingly with no judgment whatsoever. And if there is anything that I say or do, and I'm so excited, we're going to get to meet everybody in person, please forgive me before I even meet you, because that was not my intention. So the message of Islam has to be talked about, and it says this in the Quran, with beautiful speech and eloquent words. And I pray that I carry out this task in that way. And also, and I've mentioned this, is that it is an open invitation. The message of God is an open invitation to all. There is no coercing. Unlike you hear Muslims say that people have to embrace Islam, God would never have set it up that way. So what they're saying is total fabrication, but just a blatant lie. God has given us free choice. And so therefore, it really doesn't even make sense. And as I said, all the prophets were assigned to this duty. One of the things that I also want to mention is Muslims, we are taught to keep our lips moist with the name of God. And so if we are carrying out our duties and responsibilities, a lot of times we will just have gatherings to talk about God and fulfill this responsibility. So we must feel a responsibility to God on the day of reckoning or resurrection. Thus, God the Almighty will hold us to account, and He will hold us to account for the wealth that He gave us and how we used it. Did we obtain it through lawful means like agriculture, industry, trading, and the like, or through unlawful ways like deceiving others, oppression, robbery, and the like? And now I'm going to go on to something a little different. So I have to say this. God the Almighty says in the Quran in chapter 17, verse 70, surely we have honored the children of Adam and carried them on land and sea. So man is distinguished from other beings owing to his wisdom, will, and being a vicegerent. And I know that I've mentioned this before as well. So our responsibility is to return the earth better than we arrived. Yeah. And this is a vicegerent who holds responsibility and deserves such distinction. She is referred to through revelation, and upon whom the word of God, the merciful, is revealed. Our value and respect compare with other creatures indicates great honor and trust bestowed upon us. Such responsibility remarks that our position is raised through giving him or her more importance and esteem. Indeed, humans are not considered neither a neglected being nor a worthless one in life due to his possessing of wisdom, will, and ability. And so when I think of this, I think of how do we respond to our abilities? Responsibility. God has given us abilities, and what do we do with this? Okay. Indeed, a man or woman is considered rather a neglected being nor a worthless one in life due to his possessing of wisdom, will, and ability, and who takes his will and his capability to make a choice and take a decision. Therefore, he is responsible for his deeds and behavior accordingly. Islam fixes two responsibilities upon humans, individual and collective ones. Concerning individual responsibility, we are responsible for ourselves. Thus, God, the Most High, addresses us, saying, "Nay, man is evidence against himself, though he puts forth his excuses." This is in Quran, chapter 75, verse 14. This verse refers to human beings being responsible for our speech, behavior, and deeds, and will be judged by him on the resurrection day and day of justice and punishment. All these are in order to make his or her relation with his or her Lord directly, and also to judge himself before our Lord. We are made to feel these shortcomings and responsibilities. As such, negative attitude should be corrected spontaneously and without any force, lest he or she loses our self-sensibility and feeling of responsibility, which leads us to lose our self-motivation and self-respect. Later on, it can lead to losing our value as a wise and distinguished person, who then needs force to make him carry out his obligations and avoid what is forbidden. God the Almighty said, "And those who give what they give in alms, while their hearts are full of fear that to their Lord they must return." And this is referring to, when we give, we don't think of the future. So we're not giving something and thinking, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to survive tomorrow?" We're giving it with a heart so that those people that we're giving it to can survive. These hasten to do good things, and they are foremost in attaining them. And we do not lay on any soul a burden except to the extent of its ability. And with us is a book which speaks the truth. And they're talking about the Quran. And they should not be dealt with unjustly. It also says in the Quran that he or she who does not judge him or herself daily is not from us. If one does a good deed, God will increase it, while if he does an evil deed, God will forgive him. And I absolutely love this, because so if we do a good deed, it's going to be increased, and we do a bad deed, we're going to get forgiven. So it's a win-win situation. How can we lose? We as humans should be being And we as humans should be doing. We should always reflect on how we can improve not only our situations, but also the conditions of others. So our prophet, peace and blessings, every night before he went to sleep, would reflect on his day and see how he could improve. And this we consider a perfect man. So what should I be doing before I go to bed every night? If our prophet is asking God for guidance of how he can improve, I should be crying out to God to ask how I can improve my situation. Islam wants to bring up the power of conscience in man's soul in precedence of the power of state and develop the virtue of personal responsibility, to become a guardian, to judge oneself and know that one is responsible on the day of reckoning. Everyone is responsible for the property he owns, and from where did he gain it and how did he use it? Man is also responsible for the knowledge he acquires and the capabilities to which is applied before God and how they are employed. Did we use them for our own personal benefit or for the general benefit of society? Did we exploit them for corrupt and destructive practices or for boosting only oneself in his worldly interests? Humans are responsible for their mentality and intelligence which God gave them and how they are put to use. And if they were misdirected in deviated ways, deceiving others, or corrected in the way of guidance and edification of soul and its reformation. We are also responsible for the strength that God has given us. And what purpose did we use it for? Was it spent in wasteful disobedience and being aggressive? Or was it towards goodness and following the right way? We are also responsible for the power, position, and social rank which God gave us, and whether we misused for suppression, creating terrorism, and seeking predominance to obtaining personal gain over others? Or was it constructively put to use for social development in the way of God, the Almighty? Consequently, man or woman will be questioned for the tongue which God gave us and how we used its talents. Did we use it for uttering the word of goodness, reformation, and benefiting social progress? Or did we use it for cheating, backbiting, lying, and insulting others? In Islam, backbiting, as I am sure in other faiths, is a huge sin. Similarly, we will be questioned for the eyes, which God gave us, and what purposes we use them for. Did we use them for reading knowledgeable books and respecting God's greatness? Or did we use them for looking at what God has forbidden and prohibited? We will also be questioned about the gifts of ears. And was this sense of hearing used only for listening to gossip, empty words, indecency, and wasteful entertainment? Or were they directed at hearing the word of guidance, education, and fruitful debates? We are responsible We're responsible to remind people of the gifts and blessings. It is our responsibility to give people tools to arise out of bad situations. So we will be questioned for every act that we perform in this world. You know, I have a hard time. I want to talk about this, and somehow it might not seem important because we are not an Islamic state. But I do want to mention that because in Saudi Arabia, we know that there's so many injustices going on, and the inequality just based on the ranks of people. Now, in the sight of God, it's a completely different rank. But in Saudi Arabia, there are very, very wealthy people, and there are extremely poor people. And the wealthy people are responsible to take care of the poor people, which is not happening at all. So through carrying our responsibilities based on Islamic laws and values, which organize personal duties to regulate behavior, a society can be established to keep an equilibrium where security, social peace, and economic welfare are preserved. Without these responsibilities, life turns into chaos and anarchy. The role of justice and law disappears, and society becomes a tyrannical one. And this is exactly what has happened in a country that is a so-called Muslim country, which, please, I beg you guys, do not associate Saudi Arabia with being an Islamic country, because if it was, the stuff that's going on there right now would not be happening. I've mentioned that Islam organizes responsibility by making everyone responsible for ourselves and for others. And therefore, a shepherd is responsible for his flock. A father and mother are responsible for their children. And so it's not, something has made me very sad because, you know, the mother, a lot of the times, not all the time, spends more time with the children than the husband does. And I've heard in so many societies that they blame the women for the way the children, if the children didn't turn out wonderfully, they blame the mother, which is really sad. So life cannot be organized without responsibility. The Prophet's son-in-law, and it was his cousin as well, his name is Ali, and he was married to the daughter, very, very special daughter, Fatima, Bibi Fatima, of the Prophet's, of the Prophet and his wife, Khadija. He explains that Muslims, on one hand, are responsible before those who take responsibilities, while on the other hand, they who take responsibilities themselves are also responsible before their leader, which could be any man, who himself is also responsible before God, both for Muslims and for non-Muslims. The example that a Muslim, and this could be a hardship, but often when I used to go, say I was going to the grocery store with my children, I'd have to have a conversation with them before I left because Muslims were under and still are under scrutiny. So we would go into the grocery store, and this would be in rural North Carolina. So a lot of the people had never seen a Muslim or a Muslim woman. And they would look at me in a way, sort of almost like they might be afraid, or they were scowling at me, or they were like just so disappointed that in the grocery store they saw somebody that looked like me. And my children did not respond well at all. And so I had to start having a conversation with them and saying to them, you know, we are responsible in the eyes of God after how we treat those people, because it's possibly their ignorance, not in any defamatory way. They just don't know, or they've never seen a Muslim. So, you know, this is a perfect time for us to educate them. And I don't mean by having a conversation with them, just by basically acting like nice human beings. And, you know, it became sort of a mantra that every time we would go out and say, listen, you know, you guys, this is our responsibility. This is how we've got to act, because, you know, they think Muslims are bad. And so if you guys respond in a negative way, then they're going to say, well, that's, you know, just look at those Muslims. That's the way they act. And no wonder their countries are in such disarray. And I feel like I should not have had to have that conversation. These were young kids. This was a big responsibility that I put on them. And I feel sad that I did that. It was, but I felt like we in the public eye, and there were certain acts that we had to put on, you know, and I pray that they forgive me. So, you know, I want to end by saying, I'm looking so forward to meeting you guys. I think it's going to be in March. And this is the quote that I want to end by. Responsibility is accepting that you are the cause and the solution of the matter. And that quote really, really spoke to me. So I'm going to leave you with that, something that all of you can reflect on. And I want to thank you guys again. Lovely talking to you, and possibly seeing you sooner than later. So good night to you. Thanks again.
Many, many thanks to Bob Sima and Shannon Plummer. If you are in the area right around here, they are doing lots of things. They're doing concerts at some of the different churches and house concerts and those sorts of things. So go to their website and look them up, and you'll enjoy everything that they do. They're not only amazing musicians, they're amazing human beings, and some of our best friends. Yeah. So, and Naran, I miss not getting to see you in person so much, and we keep saying we're going to get together for dinner, and we got to make that happen, because another just awesome human being, and thank you so much for the good job that you always do on these talks. You just come right from your heart. Philip
Whoop, whoop.
and team, thank you all so much for taking what we send and what everybody sends you. And I think that if people out there in the world realized what you have to deal with, they would be
Especially
would be
today.
quite
They're working for their money today.
quite impressed. Quite impressed. So if you are out there in the world and you have these kind of technical needs, virtual or live, contact Philip at the address below, and he will fix you up. So don't forget, we are not doing the deep dive today, so we won't be there if you come on. But we will start it up again next week, 11:45 to 12:15 Eastern Time on Sunday, right after the service. And tonight at 5:45 p.m. we will rebroadcast this morning service. So send somebody to it. Come back and watch yourself. That's always a fun thing to do. You'll be surprised how much more
Get
you
the
get
second time.
second time around. Yeah. So. And next week we continue our new series on responsibility, and we will be with our dear friend Baha'i Dean Martineau, and his musical accompaniment is Andrew Bentham Riley.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. www.peopleofdiversity.org. If you hit the button in the middle of the page, it will bring you to a donate spot, and you can move as you're led. Weekly, monthly, once, for ongoing, however you want to play. We just invite you to play. And let's take a moment right now and acknowledge that and say thank you. So if you'll take a deep breath, put your feet on the floor. Spirit, thank you for all that is the pod, all that comes to us, all that goes out from us. Thank you for the blessings. Thank you for the opportunities to be a blessing. And we say together, amen.
Amen.
So don't click off just yet. The very most importantest part of the entire service is now. So if you would bring to your mind's eye anyone in your world that needs healing, any kind of healing, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it might be. And if we could also pull in there the insanity of the leaders that are running the show right now, and just breathe sensibility and calmness and understanding and compassion into their hearts, so that they might communicate with each other and actually find solutions to the issues that we're all facing, that are real and impactful in our world today. So
I'd like to throw in something before we go. There are a couple of people in our pod family that could use some extra prayers, and I'm not gonna throw their names out there because I didn't ask them if that was okay. But just people going into the hospital, and people that have recently come out of the hospital and having things going on. So let's just particularly hold them in our hearts, and don't forget to open up and receive yourself. So.
Yeah. So let's open up, listen, and pass it around the circle. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
One power, one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the law.